We're the Pass the Time Players, and we want to welcome you to our 6th production, Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Once you've watched the video, take a moment and like us on Facebook, and go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe so you won't miss any of our classics that are going to be coming your way. But now, let's meet our cast.
Hi, I'm Sharon, the narrator.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and I'll be your hunter.
Hi, my name's Debbie, and I'm going to be the queen.
Hi, I'm Tony, and I will be playing the Magic Mirror.
Hi, my name is Jeff, and I am the Dwarf.
Hi, my name is Melanie, and I am Snow White.
So now let's sit back, get yourself comfy, and enjoy Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs.
Our story begins the way most fairy tales begin. Once upon a time, in a land far away, there lived a king, his queen, and their most lovely daughter, Snow White. They were a very happy family, until one day the queen became quite ill and died. The king was very sad and very lonely for a very long time, until he decided to remarry. Now, the new queen was quite beautiful, but she was very vain and selfish. Sadly, the king died, and it was now just Snow White and her stepmother, the evil and vain queen, always jealous of Snow White. She made Snow White work like a servant and dressed her in rags. As Snow White grew into a more beautiful young woman, the queen became more jealous and evil. Every day, the queen would ask the same question to her magic mirror.
Mirror, mirror in my hand, who's the fairest in the land?
Oh, my queen, thou art fair, 'tis true, but the Princess Snow White is much more fair than you.
Snow White? Snow White? Wait, Snow White is only a child. She cannot be more beautiful than me. You lie, mirror. I will destroy you. I shall break you into 1,000,000 pieces.
Your Majesty may do what she will do, but I must speak for what is true.
Oh, silence! I will hear no more. I would be a fool to destroy the mirror of truth. Without it, how would I know who my enemies were? No, no, I must destroy that which causes my unhappiness. I must destroy Snow White. But how? I know. I'll have the royal hunter do it for me. He must. Royal hunter!
You called, Your Majesty.
Royal hunter, who am I?
I don't understand the question, Your Majesty.
It is a simple question. Who am I?
Why, you're the queen of all this realm.
Yes, and as your queen, it is your duty to obey me in all things, is it not?
Of course, Your Majesty. No one is more loyal to the crown than I.
I'm not speaking of the crown, you fool. I'm speaking of me.
As queen, you and the crown are one and the same, Your Majesty.
Oh, yes, of course. Forgive me. My nerves are on edge. I'm not quite myself today. I apologize for calling you a fool.
No apology is necessary, Your Majesty. And I am sorry you are not feeling well. Is there anything I can do?
Yes, now that you mention it, there is.
Well, why, yes, Your Majesty. You have but to request the task, and it will be done. I will obey you in all things. You only have to command me, my queen, and it shall be done.
What if I were to tell you that the cause of my unhappiness is because I have discovered there is a plot to drive me from the throne?
Your Majesty, that's treason.
Treason, yes. And what is our punishment by law for treason?
Why, death, Your Majesty.
And to protect your lawful queen, would you be willing to see that the full penalty of the law is carried out?
I would not turn away from my duties to you, my queen. Name the traitor, and in the same breath you shall sentence him to death.
Oh, thank you, most royal hunter. Your loyalty and devotion will not go unrewarded.
The name, your majesty.
Snow White.
Snow White, the princess?
Yes, Snow White. She desires my throne now. She's not willing to wait for my death. She plots against me.
But your majesty must be mistaken. The princess would not harm anyone.
You promised me I need only name the traitor. Well, I have named her. Will you do as you have promised?
Your majesty, I had no idea you were speaking of the princess. Please do not ask me to do this task.
I command you to do your duty.
But your majesty...
I command you. Do you understand? I have given you a royal command. Failure to carry it out, and you shall share the princess's fate. Well?
I will. I will do it, your majesty.
A wise decision. Now, as to the where and when, for the sake of her father's good name, I do not wish it to be known that the princess is a traitor. You must take Snow White far from the palace, deep into the forest, and once there, she will disappear. Do you understand?
I'm sorry, your majesty. I don't understand.
It's a simple task that I set before you. Take Snow White to the deepest part of the forest and see that she never returns.
When would you like me to...
Punish the traitor?
Yes, your majesty.
Morning. Take her in the morning when she awakens. I will send her to you.
Good night, your majesty.
Leave me now.
Good night, your majesty.
Royal hunter, and farewell, Snow White.
The next day, the hunter took Snow White deep into the forest.
This way, princess. The forest is quite dense here. Watch your step.
Trying, but it's getting more difficult to see. There is so little light.
Well, that's because we're deep into the forest. The trees grew tall and thick here.
Hunter?
Yes, your highness?
May we stop for a moment?
Well, of course, your highness. This step'll do as good as any.
It is so beautiful here and so peaceful. I do so love the forest.
Does your highness come into the forest often?
Not very often, Royal Hunter. In fact, I usually have to slip out when I wish to play in the forest. My stepmother doesn't allow me very much time to explore outside the palace or to play games.
Games? What kind of games?
Oh yes, I love to play all sorts of games. My favorite is tag.
Tag? That was one of my favorites when I was your age.
Oh, Royal Hunter, do you think we could...
Could what, your highness?
Oh, nothing. I was just going to suggest that we play tag now.
All right. You run, and I shall catch you.
I don't think that is such a good idea. You'd never be able to catch me. You're much too old, and...
And with that, Snow White scurried away. The hunter wanted to play, but knew he had a royal command from the queen that he must carry out. He began to search for the princess. He saw her hiding behind a clump of berry bushes. The hunter drew his knife and began to creep up behind Snow White. A branch cracked under his foot, and Snow White turned to see him standing over her with a raised knife. He fell to his knees before the princess.
Oh, Hunter, what can this mean? Why do you want to harm me?
It is not I, your highness, but the evil queen. She commanded me to take you deep into the forest and see that you never return. I can't do it. Although I've never disobeyed her orders before, I refuse to do what she wishes of me.
The queen? Why would she want to do me harm?
She told me you were a traitor and wished to take her throne. But she was lying to me. I know the real reason. She's jealous of your kindness and beauty. So jealous that you must leave the kingdom and promise never to return again.
But where shall I go?
Where? Here, follow this path. It will lead you to a much friendlier kingdom on the other side of the mountain.
Won't you come with me, Royal Hunter, and be my protector?
Oh no, Snow White. I must return. If I don't, the queen will suspect you've been spared and send others to do her evil bidding. Farewell, princess. Good luck.
Farewell, Royal Hunter.
And so Snow White began her journey through the dark forest. Finally, she came to a clearing.
Oh, look! It's a small cottage. Hello? Is anyone at home? What a charming little place. And everything is so tiny. Why, a family of children must live here. It looks very friendly, but not very tidy. But who is here to take care of them? Well, whoever it is, I hope they don't mind if I lie down and take a rest. Oh, all that running made me so sleepy. I am so weary.
Snow White, weary from her night in the forest, fell asleep in the small cottage that was owned by 7 little men who worked in a hillside close by digging for gold and jewels. Yes, little did she know that she was asleep in the cottage of the 7 dwarfs. Just then, one of the dwarfs returned to the cottage.
Well, I certainly worked hard in the mine today. It is going to feel so good to just relax tonight. The other dwarfs can go out tonight if they want to, but I just want to relax. Look, there's someone asleep in our cottage. I wonder who she could be.
So the dwarf went over and tapped Snow White on the shoulder.
Excuse me. Who are you and what are you doing in our cottage?
Why, my name is Snow White.
Snow White? The princess?
Yes, and who are you?
Why, we are the 7 dwarfs. Go ahead, count us. 1, 2. Oh, wait. The rest of the guys are out for the evening. Snow White. The Princess Snow White? Well, what are you doing here? What brings you to this part of the forest?
Well, I went into the deepest forest with the hunter, and on orders from my stepmother, the queen, he drew a knife on me. Fortunately, he was kind and could not go through with it. He told me to run away and never return to the palace. I wandered through the forest, and then I found your cottage. I was so sleepy from my journey that I fell asleep.
The evil queen, huh? Well, what are you going to do now?
If it's all right with you, may I stay here and live with you?
Oh, I don't know. The rest of the dwarfs may not like it.
I could cook for all of you.
You could cook for us? Well, everyone knows we dwarfs sure get hungry. Do you make Swedish meatballs?
Yeah, sure. And I can clean the cottage.
Oh, clean the cottage. Everybody knows we dwarfs are messy little guys. Now, wait a minute. Do you do windows?
Do I do windows? Oh, yes, I certainly do.
Okay, Snow White, you can stay with us as long as you want to.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so very much. You won't regret your decision.
And so Snow White was able to stay. She met all the dwarfs later that evening. They were a funny bunch. They loved the idea of Snow White cooking and cleaning for them. They were so busy in the mine that they never had the time to do those things for themselves. Each day, as they left for work, they would always tell Snow White to be very careful while they were gone.
Now, don't you let anybody in.
Yes, yes, I will remember. And thank you again.
Back at the palace, the queen was joyfully taking to her magic mirror, believing her problems with Snow White were over.
Mirror, mirror in my hand, who's the fairest in the land?
O my queen, thou art fair, 'tis true, but the Princess Snow White is much still more fair than you.
Snow White? Snow White? But this cannot be. She is no more. You lie, mirror.
My queen, Snow White lives in a distant forest glen, guarded and protected by 7 little men.
Oh, so the hunter lied to me, did he? Well, I will deal with him later. First, I must get rid of Snow White myself. But how? I know. I will disguise myself as an old peddler woman, and I will go to that cottage of the 7 little men, and I will take Snow White a present. An apple. A poison apple.
The evil queen disguised herself and made her way to the cottage. She knocked on the little door.
Hello?
Hello, my dear. I am an old peddler woman, and I am selling my wares in the forest, and it's such a hot day, and I am so tired. May I come in for a glass of water?
Oh, I am sorry, but I gave my promise that I wouldn't let anybody in.
Oh, but my dear, it is such a hot day, and I am so tired and thirsty.
I am sorry.
I know. You can hand me the glass of water through the doorway.
Yes, that would be just fine. Just a moment while I get your water. Here you are, 1 glass of nice cold water.
Thank you, my dear. Now, I would like to give you something for being so good to an old peddler woman. Look, a shiny red apple. Isn't it beautiful?
Oh, yes, but I couldn't accept it.
Oh, go on, my dear. Just 1 bite.
Oh, it is tempting. 1 little bite.
Snow White takes a bite of the apple and falls to the floor.
Now I am the fairest in the land.
Snow White, we're home. Snow White? Snow White. Oh, no, Snow White, wake up. Oh, no, 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 what is this? An apple? What does it smell like? Why, it's poison, and Snow White ate it. Oh, no, 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 poor Snow White. Oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I know. We need a prince who can break the magic spell. Now, where can I find a prince?
As luck would have it, a prince from the neighboring kingdom happened to be out riding his horse. He heard the crying from inside the cottage and knocked on the door.
Prince, you got here just in time. Now, I don't have time to explain right now, but would you please go over there and give Snow White a kiss? I think that might save her.
So the prince bent down and gently kissed Snow White. She began to wake up.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, we came home and found you on the floor with the apple in your hand, and it was poison. What happened?
Oh, no. An old peddler woman came to the door and asked for a drink of water. I didn't let her in, though, but handed her the drink through the door. She gave me this apple. I took a bite, and that's the last thing I remember.
It was the queen, I'm sure of it. She probably had a disguise on. Oh, we almost lost you. But lucky for all of us, the prince from the neighboring kingdom was near, and he woke you up. And now, Prince, why don't you take Snow White back to your palace where she will be safe?
So the prince took Snow White back to his kingdom where they fell in love and eventually married. As for the dwarfs, they continued working in their mine, but visited Snow White quite often. As for the evil queen, let's just say she never caused Snow White, the prince, or the 7 dwarfs any trouble ever again. They all lived happily ever after. The end.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed our story. Now remember, like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel and be watching for our next story. So for us and for all the cast, we are the Pass the Time players. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.